We are live on the imbullyfree television, and we do this every single Wednesday. So we are live. There's a special guest, and she is an actress. She's an acting coach. She's everything that you can think of because she's been on Evolution, American Crime. She's been on You Limited the movie. If you ever go into the trains in downtown Houston for Metro, if you hear a girl's voice in the train, that's my acting coach, Crystal Martinez. It's in Spanish. So not only that, she does a lot. She's not only an actress, she's a coach. And she's a founder of OGAC, and OGAC stands for Ongoing Acting Classes. So, give it up for Crystal Martinez.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Evan.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
So, Crystal, tell me, what have you done with your acting career as an actress?
Okay, well, I started acting, I've been doing it professionally for about 17 years, and I did a lot of union commercials, SAG commercials for about the first 5 years of my career. And then I was able to convince my agency to start to submit me for film and TV. And my first TV role was on a TV show called In Plain Sight. And then I kept working hard and studying, and then about another year or two later, I had probably my biggest breakthrough role, which was on NBC's Revolution. So I did an episode of that, and then after that, the doors kind of opened up, and I ended up booking a recurring role on CBS's Under the Dome, which was a really popular show, and I did 5 episodes of that on the first season, which was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And then from there, I went on to ABC's American Crime. I did an episode of that in the first season, and then I worked on the pilot episode of Preacher on AMC, and I have also worked on some of the Robert Rodriguez films. I was in Machete Kills, and let me see what else. I did a faith-based film called Unlimited, which I think you can find on maybe Amazon or Hulu. And most recently, I shot a pilot for, I had a leading role in a pilot that I shot in Florida that's called The Neapolitans. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm also an acting coach, your acting coach.
So, what you do as as an actress and as a coach, how did it overcome your inability to help other people in this industry, in this film industry?
How did I use acting to help other people, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, okay, coaching kind of came around because once I started booking roles, and I was booking more roles than the average person in town off of taped auditions, which is kind of difficult to do. I had a lot of friends that would ask me questions about what I was doing in my taped auditions to get me, either the callback or to get me booked on the role. And then my agent also suggested to me at some point that maybe I might consider, teaching a little bit of what I had learned or what I was doing. And so I think right around, excuse me, I have a little cold. I think right around 2012, excuse me, I decided that I would start, I actually did a workshop first so I could kind of introduce people to what I did and to find out whether people, liked what I had to teach. And as it turned out, I started getting contacted by a whole lot of people. So I found that at first, I wanted to teach because it was another way to supplement my income. But then afterwards, I realized that it was a really good way to inspire people and to motivate them. And I also found that a lot of the people that were coming to take classes from me would end up opening up to me about things that were going on in their lives. Some of them were going through some serious things like divorce, or they were having problems at home, or one person, while he was taking classes, developed cancer, and so he went through chemotherapy, and then as soon as he, thank God, beat that, he came back to classes again. So a lot of the people that were coming through my classes were people that were facing, personal challenges at home, and they were using the classes as a way to, stay motivated through creativity, but then also to process a lot of those emotions that they were feeling that are sometimes difficult to deal with and are difficult to express in the real world because we don't always have people that are willing to listen.
Right. And it's so true because, all these people around this world, kind of like acting coaches, want to help other people, and it's a good feeling to have, yourself as a coach to get people representation, but they have to work hard for it.
Yeah, they do. Like you worked really hard. You're one of the best examples of somebody who came through that, I remember when you first came to me, you said that you had tried to find classes at a couple of different places and you had had a couple of bad experiences because of your disability. And when you contacted me, I think I had seen you on Facebook posting things here and there. So I had a little bit of an idea about who you were, but not a lot. So I remember you did a GoFundMe campaign that I got upset about, so that you could come up with the money for the workshop, for your very first workshop with me. And when you came in and did the workshop, I was actually really surprised that you had the talent level that you had. You were a good actor, and I realized immediately that you were somebody that I think that I could work with, and I knew that there was that there was a demographic out there that wasn't filled by people that were like you, that had a disability. And so I thought right away that it could be something that could open some really big doors for you, because you could fill a space that there are not a lot of people that could fill. And then also you could, inspire other people to see what people with disabilities could do. So right away I told you I wanted to work with you. And then you started taking classes right after that.
Yeah. And, I just thinking about it, like when you talk, it just tells me more open doors. Not just only myself, but for other people too. Like, this is what imbullyfree is about, is to help, people if they have Down syndrome or not. Just, would you, even though that you have kids classes and adult
Right.
classes, would you consider having students with disabilities to come in?
I actually have had more students than the other students than you that have come in. I've had a couple of students that have come in that were dealing with autism, so they were born autistic. And one of the things that being an acting coach and for whatever reason God blessed me with bringing people like you and other people who have these disabilities into my classes, because somehow y'all found me. I don't know how, but once these people came into the classes, very similarly to you, one of the things that I realized was that just because individuals had these serious disabilities, it honestly didn't mean that y'all weren't capable of being creative and being able to create something that the world could relate to, and so the first thing that I saw was that y'all have the same feelings, the same emotions, the same desires, goals, fears, everything else that everybody else does. And whenever people like yourself that have the disability are able to get in front of a camera and show that, then what that does is it helps the world to see that y'all are not different from different from us, that we all share the common thread of being a human being. And it also, I think, opens people's minds to how to deal with people that have disabilities, to not be afraid, or to not think that it's not possible to relate to y'all or to speak to y'all. And so I actually had one kid come by who Hi, David. I actually had one kid who took a couple of classes from me, who was incredibly talented, and he did a scene that had me in tears. And his name was Chris, I think. I can't remember his last name, but he's super talented, and I'm hoping that he'll come back to class. And he's somebody who has autism, and he's fully functioning. He has a job. He drives. He's well spoken, very intelligent, and he was able to come into class, and he was probably one of the better actors in classes, and he's somebody who had a disability. So.
Right. And and I was gonna say this too, because whenever you done acting classes for how many years?
Acting classes is going on 7 years. This is my 7th year.
7th year.
I think we're starting our 7th year here in the Heights.
So, but in general.
Yeah, 7. About 7 years. I think I'm going into my 7th year of teaching classes. I've been a professional actor for about 17 years. I've been with Pastor U. Mosby, which is your agency too, for about 17 years. Thank God, working professionally.
Yeah, and then not only that, I mean, even though you're an aspiring actress and you're a coach, you motivate people, you tell them not to give up. But a lot of people ended up on, TV shows.
Oh, my students?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had quite a few. So you obviously, you ended up on the first, you ended up on Ozark, which is one of Netflix's hit TV shows right now, and you did your 2 seasons, and you're about to go into your 3rd season, and I was blessed enough to be able to be flown out to Atlanta for your first episode to work with Jason Bateman to coach you on that. So that was really super cool. But then I also had several other of my students early on that I was able to first help to get signed with my agency. And when I say helped, all that I did was work with them in class and tape them. And whenever I saw that there was a really good tape, I shared it with my agent. And then from there, my agent reached out to them because they were interested. So once they got signed, they went on to start to audition, and they would come to me so I could take their auditions. And we had one of our students was Nathan Cruz, and he ended up booking a series regular role on a TV show on, I think it's on AMC, called The Sun, which was pretty huge with Pierce Brosnan. That was a massive achievement because I think he had only been acting professionally for about a year. So I was super proud of him. And then Ulysses Montoya also ended up booking a role on The Sun as well. One of the interesting things about, a funny little story about those two, is that the role that Nathan booked, that was a series regular role for that first season, both Ulysses Montoya and Nathan Cruz were up for that role. So my 2 students were up for that role, and it was going to come down to one or the other of them. But either way, it was going to be one of my students. So I was incredibly proud of that. And they have also gone on to work on several other TV shows since then. I think Ulysses has done Dusk Till Dawn. He did a great new show that's getting a lot of reviews called Rich Kids. It's a film I think it's doing the festival circuit. He did some fantastic work on that. And then Mo Alfie, another one of my former students, was on The Long Road Home, which is another hit show that's out there. And let me see, I think Sarah Burkett did something called Phaedra that was through Robert Rodriguez. There's some kind of a project that he's doing out of Austin, and so she was able to book a lead role on that. And then we also have Drake Malone, who did a couple of things on, I think, Murder Made Me Famous or something like that. So, and he's working consistently really well. I'm super proud of him. He's doing lots of commercials, lots of print work. He's staying really busy. And then, yeah, so I mean, a lot of my students are, out there auditioning, and they're building resumes, and they're getting known by the community. So
I mean, another fact too, even though you're a coach and an actress and you do a lot, how would you see yourself now? Because you got Henry that's taking care of the business. He's your sidekick.
Henry, yep, Henry Zaning is my business partner. He sure is. He's doing a great job helping me grow the business. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but even now the school is expanding more.
Yes, it is. It is. It's definitely. I mean, in the beginning, it was something that I did on the side, and I was happy to do it because it helped me to, keep myself sharp and focused. Because every time that I work with students in front of the camera, I learn something from what they're doing, and I also get to, practice and put all of that into practice whenever I audition. But over the past year, for whatever reason, God kind of just opened the doors, and here in literally the past month, I don't know what, something happened, something changed, and the doors just sort of opened up, and some really good opportunities have come forth, and we've had a lot of very talented new students register, and we're looking to definitely to expand more than likely into a bigger commercial space, and we're also looking at producing our own content. So we're in the process of writing a couple of things, and we've been approached by a few people who already have some things written, and so I've got some people in different places, and everybody sort of wants to come together, and all the parts are starting to come together to hopefully be able to have an OGAC production before the end of the year. So it's just I guess whenever God says it's the right time, it's the right time, and all we can do is just do our best and pray that He's going to guide us and move us in the right direction.
So, and that's a good feeling too when you think about it. But now let's talk about imbullyfree.
Yes.
So, how do you feel about this great organization? How did it feel to be something with Bud Collier?
I mean, I love the fact that Bud has invited me to come along and help you. I mean, I met Bud through you because you first approached me when you were still my student, because you were going to do the Houston Buddy Walk, and you had a speech you wanted to write, and you needed some help. So I helped you with that first speech, and I think I helped you with like a lot of your speeches for like a year. And then I remember helping you with the speech with imbullyfree, and then from there, Bud reached out to me, and before I knew it, I was a part of the organization. So I'm really proud of being able to come in and help you, to write the speeches that go out, that you go out and use to motivate the kids in schools and people with disabilities. So I think it's a fantastic organization. And it's a good thing to know that there is a resource out there, that's on social media that kids can reach out to and ask for help, when maybe they're afraid to speak to family or friends or embarrassed or whatever, I know that Bud makes it really easy for people to communicate through imbullyfree and to express any concerns they may have, and you guys are really quick to respond to them and try to give them some kind of help and guidance and counseling. So I think it's fantastic that there's an organization like that out there, and that you're a part of it, and that I get to help,
Yeah, and it's, whenever imbullyfree, has an event, I believe David's watching, he's from TKO, and he's the one that got you the TKO shirt.
Oh, hey, David, thank you. I love that. What is it? Tolerance, kindness, overcoming. Yeah, thank you. I love that shirt. That's awesome. Thank you, David.
But so even though as an organization we do a lot, we do events, but would you hoping would you hoping to have any other students get involved?
Yeah, I would love to have the students get involved. I mean, something interesting that's kind of starting to come out of all of this too is the very first time you contacted me about helping you to write a speech was with the Houston Buddy Walk, and I know that you remember that during the Houston Buddy Walk we met somebody from an organization called Full Ability, and so over the past several years, that gentleman has stayed in contact with me because his daughter suffers from a disease that has put her in a position where she has to be on life support. And as of this point, she is the longest surviving person on life support. So she's absolutely a miracle. And so last year, I know that he approached us about wanting to write his daughter's story. So hopefully, once we're able to get a script down and start looking into going into production for that, hopefully we will be able to use all of our students from OGAC in order to do that.
I think I was asked first.
Okay, sure. Hey bud, what's going on?
Hello?
Hey bud.
Hi, Crystal. I'm sorry the internet went down at my house today.
Oh, that's okay. I think we're live with you on the phone, right?
I love it. I hear you guys good. How you doing, Evan?
Good. How you?
So I get to answer. So what? I don't know where you're at in the show.
So I'm live on the imbullyfree page. So your voice will be heard on the iPad.
Okay, cool. So they'll be able to hear me. Do I get to ask any questions?
Go ahead. Shoot away.
So, originally I was going to go and play all your videos from Revolution
Yeah.
and all those little shows that you were on, and they were incredible. A lot of really famous actors were there.
Right.
So what was your most empowering or your favorite show that you were on? Is there one?
Oh God bless. There were multiple ones. I think that the one show that I was on that I probably learned the most from, that I think was the biggest blessing ever, was a show that really was a pilot, and unfortunately it never got picked up. But I got to work for 3 weeks in Atlanta, and the show was called The Jury, and I was playing a district attorney, and so I was able to work. Right, I was able to work with director Neil Berger, who did the Divergent series, and that was probably as close to a dream come true as possible. To be, I'd always told myself, one of these days I'm going to be on a big time set, and I'm going to be directed by a big time director, and I can't wait till that day happens, and I'll never forget the day that. And in fact, I think I have a picture of it. Someone took a photo of me when I was standing there thinking this, but as they were lighting me, and I had cranes and lights and people and everything all around to set up this shot that was going to be only for me, I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is what I always thought I wanted to do, and I'm actually here, So that was a pretty fantastic moment. But and I also got to work with some really great actors.
Well, how did you prepare for that setting? Did you go talk to lawyers or watch Perry Mason, or
No.
how did you get ready?
I had familiarity already with having done a couple of different attorney roles, and so for me, it was less about how to be judicial, and an attorney, and it was more about understanding this lady's the character and what her driving force was in not only trying the case, but also in her passion for what it was that she was doing. And so and that really came more just from taking clues from the script that were based on kind of what was going on with everyone else and what other people were saying to me, so there wasn't a whole lot of work in terms of research, but there was a lot of work in memorization. There was a lot of legal jargon, and then having to take that legal jargon and deliver it in a way that still had some personality.
Yes, I know exactly. And I've heard of actors. Remember when they ride around with cops for a while, and the police.
Mm-hmm.
See exactly how cops do it.
Right.
They're doctors. Like ER was one of the best shows.
Right. Yeah.
For look at what was being said and how they were doing things, it was pretty realistic.
Yeah, I think that would definitely probably be something where I would want to, like, you know, to go and do a little bit of research. But I mean, you know, when I played a nurse on Under the Dome, I had worked in. I've been blessed, I guess, to have some sort of association with the roles that I was playing, so that it wasn't too far out of my wheelhouse in the sense that I'd been in the environment before. So, you know, I'd worked in doctors' offices, but I will say Under the Dome was probably the one where, you know, there was a scene, and I think it's on my demo reel, where there's a saline bag, and I'm supposed to, like, take this needle and insert, you know, whatever the solution is into the needle, and then pump it into the saline bag. And I was all thumbs. So somebody came and showed me how to do that, and, you know, I had about a 3-minute crash course on how to make that happen, and then I had to make it look realistic. So at the end of that scene, I was just happy that I didn't poke myself with the needle.
Oh, so it was a live needle?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It sure was. It was a live needle, and it was, you know, a vial of, you know, those vials that have the medication that the needle draws the medication out of. So I had to.
You put it in the little device.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, they gave me the needle with the cap on, and when you know, the line was delivered, then I had to pop the top off of the needle, and then take the vial, stick the needle into it, draw the solution in, and then take that needle and then pump that solution into a saline bag. So.
Yeah. I remember seeing that, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So, how many, when you know, like you said, have you ever done a perfect take on the first one on a show?
You know, I have, but the thing is that, you know, film is a very different animal than commercial is, because especially if there are other characters involved, you know, they're gonna want not only they're not only gonna want to take, you know, have me on camera. They might want to do, you know, a wide, and then they might want to do a 2-shot. They might want to get somebody else behind. You know what I mean? So, you know, I've definitely, thankfully, been in a situation before where, you know, they call action, we do the scene, and, you know, they cut, and they say that was perfect. Let's get another couple of those just for safety, you know. And so, and then they say, and then we're gonna, you know, change the setup for, you know, it'll be the same scene or the same lines again, but they just need to get it from a different angle or a different perspective. But it's definitely a good feeling when you know that you nailed it on the first take, so they have what they need, and everything else after that is just going to kind of be, you know, security, a little bit extra, you know.
Well, here's a good question for you then. So when you film a movie, and it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 takes, are you involved at all in the editing and stuff of that nature?
Am I involved in the editing?
Yeah.
No, sir, I'm not.
Isn't that amazing? I wonder how many great scenes have been cut out of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll never know.
How many? Yeah, it's what they. You know, I've heard it said many times before. Many of my friends have said that, you know, the best part of my scene ended up on the, you know, cutting room floor. So, yeah. I mean, they don't do film anymore, but, you know.
But I wonder how many great epic moments have been lost because of who does the cutting?
That's the editors at the end. You know, one of the things that I also hear as well in the industry is that, you know, the actual movie is made in the editing room. You know, because they can shoot, you know, a million different scenes in a million different, you know, ways. But at the end of the day, whatever the editors decide, however the director, the editors decide that they want to put the story together, that's what's going to end up coming forth. And you know, we've read articles, and it's happened to me where, you know, I go in and I nail my scene, or, you know, or I do a scene and I think, gosh, that was fantastic, or maybe I could have done better, or this or that. And then when I go to the, you know, I see the final product on TV, I think, wow, that's like, you know, nothing like what I thought it was going to look like, you know? So it's
So you don't even get to see your final scene when you're finished, do you?
well, you'll sometimes you'll get to see playback. Yeah, you'll get to see playback when you're on set, sure, but not always. But on occasion you will, yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the full scene, the way that it was shot on the day, is going to end up that way in the final production, in the final product.
You know, when Evan and I did that little PSA where he was dressed up in the clown head,
Oh, right. Yes.
and I didn't realize that it took those guys like an hour to do the backdrops and to get the lighting. I had no idea what was involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Sometimes there's more involved in that than actual for a 1 minute scene.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
But you know, when Evan did that one, because that's the first time I've really been on a movie set. I've been on TV, lots of cameras and things of that nature.
Right.
But when that little sucker started off, I started crying.
Oh, yeah, he did a great job.
Oh, but see, some of the things that they cut out were like I was saying. You know, I'm not the editor, and he left a couple things that just had me going.
Yeah.
Because see, I had no idea what we were doing up there, other than Evan had already basically decided what he wanted to do, and I was just in the last, 20 seconds.
Right, right. He did a fantastic job. That was a really good job. That was a great product.
Because I learned a lot from Crystal Martinez.
Yeah, I was going to ask Crystal, how did you and Evan get hooked up?
Evan reached out to me maybe through Facebook, I think. I was advertising a workshop, and it was pretty early on in my teaching career, I guess. And so he reached out to me and asked me if it would be possible for him to attend one of my workshops. And I think I had seen him on Facebook a few times before, so, naturally I said yes.
Do you remember the year?
Pardon?
What year was that?
2013? 2014 maybe? I'm not sure.
2012.
Or maybe 2012, I'm sorry. Well, what was that, Bud?
That was about the time Evan and I met at that.
Oh, wow. Oh, really?
And so he had inspired to be an actor. Had you done any acting at that time, Evan? Before we met?
I mean, like, what kind of acting? Like,
TV, commercials, or anything?
I did one with Victor DiGiovanni, a commercial. I got paid
So
for it.
you were basically getting started when we met, right?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Yeah, because I remember he was reading the cards. His message wishes was perfect, and so I walked up and said, hang out with me. We get to hang out with Duck Dynasty and Matthew McConaughey and some pretty cool dudes to the military games, right?
Yeah, PX3, right? Is that right?
Yeah, PX3 and all those guys. So that's kind of how we got started. But when I saw Evan go from reading cards and not being vicarious,
Right.
it's incredible speaker now.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
His hard work and your hard work with him. He's an incredible speaker. He's extemporaneous.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job.
So, hey Bud, can you explain about David's Law to Crystal?
Yeah. David's Law, you remember Brandy Vila in Texas City that shot herself in the chest in front of her parents?
I think I might have seen the news story, Bud, but I'm not.
Yeah, there's so many of them, but in my opinion, the reason that they arrested her boyfriend is because she made People magazine. Most of the time you hear it, you don't even hear about it. And it was David Moloch, it's called David's Law. And in 2016, if Sal was under 17 years old, and I wanted to cyberbully one of your kids,
Right.
now,
Right.
I can take pictures. So David Moloch, and this was in November 2016, I think, is the date. Senator Mendez was at the Moloch's house trying to get this law started. And then David committed suicide that January.
That's terrible.
Right after, and what it was they were calling all kinds of ugly names. And there was another little guy, Lionel Vasquez.
Oh no! Oh, Bot, I'm sorry. I was trying to turn the screen back on and accidentally. Oops, huh?
Let's see what happens.
Oh no, I feel terrible. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Hi, hey, this is Buck Collier,
Oops.
the director of Upland.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Call me. Oops, I feel terrible.
Alright, he's fine.
Huh? There he is.
Sorry, bud.
Sorry, bud, that was my fault.
No, but it's cool. so back to David and Maureen. Maureen's his mother.
Okay.
And so we go to the Senate up in Austin, and we bring the law in, and we testify, and Maureen was there, Lisa Lowe, and our group from imbullyfree, and we saw how the process went.
You were there.
And
You were,
now,
Bud. You were there. You were a part of that.
yeah, we went to support Maureen.
Okay.
Because we knew how important this law is. So before that, like you said, with your kids, I can cyberbully them. There's nothing you can do. I can take pictures and just ugly. Well, Lionel Vasquez was a young man. He's in college now. He had some form of cancer. And they found his cancer pictures, with no hair, and just plastered them all over Facebook and Twitter. So they would take the account down, and the next day the guy would put another one up. And the next guy said, I'm not going away. So David commits suicide, and he comes from a very nice, loving environment.
Yeah.
Parents had no idea he was well, they knew he was getting cyberbullied, but they didn't really think, they weren't worried about him committing suicide, right?
Yeah.
And especially with all the people that were trying to help him. So when we did that, so now the law is, if you're a teenager and I'm cyberbullying another teenager, that individual, that child commits suicide, you're going to get some type of penalty. You're going to get something on your record, an arrest, something
Yeah.
of that nature.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah, and so what we tell kids is, once you put that tweet out there, it's forever. And you know what Snapchat is, right?
Yeah.
So what with Snapchat, that thing goes away very quickly, I guess, within
Right.
an hour.
Right.
So what we tell the parents is, all you need to do is get a, where you capture the shot. What do you call that?
Screenshot.
Yeah, screenshot. And we search this. You got to get that evidence, the tweets, things of this nature. And then, so at the end of the day, the law basically protects the parents, and they can subpoena your phones.
Okay.
Cops can now.
Oh,
Before
okay.
that, it was just like, trying to, it was ridiculous. There was no way to subpoena a phone.
Right.
So, Evan and I talk about this law in a lot of schools.
Right.
And we're getting so dangerous for kids who are in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They think they can't get in trouble.
Right.
And so, when we were at a mostly minority school, and the principal told me to go in there and let them have it. Remember Evan?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
He said, let them have it, but tell them the truth. And it got up there to where I said, they can subpoena your phones, and these kids, all this crap. Some of them were cussing. But they were like the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Then it came down, we asked them and said, well, who wants to go play college football or basketball? Now, that's a kid's dream at that age, right?
Yeah.
Whether they have the ability. And the principal said, if you have a felony or you're arrested for trafficking like that, it says, that's it. You're not getting into a college. That affects your scholarship. So that got their attention. And another thing with the law that protects families is
Right.
You consider the parents for
Mm.
some of that listening.
That's actually fantastic. Yeah. That's great. I think it's a good law.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. So what age group do you have at your school?
I've started as early as 2 years old with some. Usually the ones that are at 2 or 3 years old are children who, for whatever reason, they're naturally geared toward, being able to stand up and perform, and they're not shy or anything. And the parents usually know when that happens, and not a lot of 2-year-olds come in, obviously, but primarily the age starts right around 5 or 6, and so right now I've got, I think, 6, 7, 10, and 11 in the children's group, and then obviously the adults is I usually start the adults from 13 years old and then up.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So were any of your students like 13 to 18? Are they there because they were being bullied?
Not necessarily because they were being bullied, but certainly because they wanted to build more confidence in school.
Yeah, more confidence.
Yeah, some of them are shy, and they were looking for some sort of a creative outlet so that they could just become more confident. I mean, I have adults that come in that are very shy, and I get emails all the time where they say that they want to be able to take some sort of a class so that they can become better public speakers. Some of them want to take a class so that they can just be more comfortable socializing and be better able to socialize. So,
because one of the hardest, I have dysphagia now where I forget words, but one of the most intimidating things to do is public speaking.
right, yeah,
And whether it's 5 people or 1,000, like Evan and I've spoken to thousands of people because I worked at NASA, taught astronauts, and once in a while I'll still get intimidated.
Sure.
Somebody will give me a look.
yeah,
That thing.
Yeah.
Somebody will look at you and you get long-winded, and like Evan, one of the biggest things that we talked was at the bunny walk, right, Evan?
I remember that. Yes.
That was like 25,000 people. And
Yeah.
Evan gets up on that stage and kills it.
yeah. I
He's
know.
there.
I know. I've been there. I've seen him. He's great.
Yeah.
He thrives. That's a good thing.
So hey, Beck.
So, yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask a couple of questions before we end the show at 9.
Yeah.
So, if you want to watch it live, we're still live.
Yeah. Remember, I don't have any internet.
All right. But I'm gonna ask Crystal a couple of questions before we end it.
Well, just keep him on the
That's
phone.
cool, brother.
All right. All right. Just here. I'll just put you right here. All right, Crystal.
Yep.
So, have you? I mean, you don't have to say anything, but just you gotta, you have a heart. You have a life. You have kids. You have everything that you ever wanted in your life. But it's okay to tell the world, now I'm bully free. I mean, tell them how you feel inside. You don't have to say names, but how do you feel when you're hurt inside? How do you feel?
What do you mean?
Inside of you, inside of Crystal.
When I'm hurt, what do you mean?
I mean, in general, have you ever been hurt by other people?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I mean, nobody gets through life without being hurt, being hurt. Somebody, every single one of us that manages to live into, young adulthood or adulthood, is going to experience, pain and suffering at the hands of other people. I mean, that's just the way that life is, and we learn from it and we grow from it, but, we go through things in life where sometimes the things that are happening to us in our lives are that are bad, that are causing problems for us or for those in our lives. Sometimes they're our fault. Sometimes they're a combination of other people's fault and our fault. And what I've learned as I've gotten older is that the best thing that I can do is to make every effort possible to clean up my side of the street, to be responsible for my faults and to go out of my way to do the best that I can to fix those faults or adjust those faults, and to do it in an effort to make life better for myself, but also for the people that I love, and then to continue to work and strive towards making that happen. But unfortunately, there are going to be people in our lives who, no matter how much we change or how much we improve or how hard we try to better ourselves and to make up for our mistakes, there are going to be people in the world who are always going to hang on to those mistakes and an attempt to belittle or demean or minimize or degrade or hurt us. And and it could be people in school. It could be something that maybe a student isn't very good at a sport, and so they try to be better at the sport and they improve a little bit, but maybe not 100%. And then there are those people who are unhappy with themselves and insecure in their lives, and so the way that they make themselves feel better is by constantly reminding that person of when they weren't good or the mistakes that they made. In school it could be when somebody answers a question wrong in front of class that a teacher asked, and so then you go home and you study and you say, okay, this is never going to happen to me again. I'm going to make sure that I'm able to answer all the questions right. And then there's that one person who just will not let you forget that mistake, and they thrive on constantly reminding you about those things, because I think they make themselves feel better about themselves, because by focusing on your mistakes and on your errors, they can forget about the work that they need to do on themselves. And and those are probably the trickiest people to work with, because if for whatever reason you love them or you care about them or their opinion matters to you, you fall into a place where you just kind of keep going around and around in circles trying to make them happy and get them to stop being that way, and sometimes they the reality is that they just never will, because there are insecurities about themselves that they just can't get over, and so those reminders that they give us and those things that they do to constantly remind other people about their faults or their mistakes or their shortcomings, in many ways they are a form of bullying, sometimes in school you can get away from that, sometimes you can talk to somebody and get someone to come in and speak up for you. Sometimes in families it's not that easy, sometimes you just have to distance yourself and get away. But the one thing that I've learned is that you, at some point you have to realize that if you've made every effort, your best effort to be the best person that you can be, and you've worked as hard as you possibly can to improve on your mistakes, and you've made up as much as you possibly can to those around you for whatever it is that you may have done wrong, and shown them, sincerely that you care and that you love them, and that you are, you want to be the best person that you can be, but at the same time, you need to let them know that you're also a human being, and that just like you've gone out of your way to improve yourself, to show them respect and love, they need to show you respect and love as well. And if they're not ready to do that, or they're not capable of doing that, then then you have to make a decision to move on to something better. Find another group of friends, or if you have to distance yourself from family or loved ones, as hard as it may be, sometimes you have to do it, and hopefully by distancing yourself, somewhere down the road they'll realize, and maybe that relationship can heal again. Family members separate from each other a lot, and I think in that separation, as the family members grow up and experience things, then that's when they realize how much that member of their family was important to them, and then once they're able to get past their ego, they're able to come back and reconcile. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't.
But I was going to also tell you too, before we end it, and I want to tell everybody on imbullyfree.org, everybody's different. Everybody has their own brain. Everybody has their own words and heart. And I'm going to say this now. Crystal, you have a brain. You have your own words. And you have your own heart. And like I always say, is to always stand up for yourself. Always remember you're not alone, because you are compassionate, you are loved by people, you care about people, and don't give up, because we love you, and it's okay to cry, it's okay to reach out to us. I mean, you're my friend, I care about you, and when somebody feels down, what do we do, guys? What do? We give each other a hug.
Evan, got the Evan hug going on, right on.
See, and never feel alone, because everybody around the world in the United States of America want the same thing, is a hug. Hug is 100 answers. A hug means words. A hug means a bully bear hug. So remember one thing, never give up, always keep positive, motivate yourself, and get off the couch and live your dreams, because you are a shooting star, right, Crystal?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Get out there and strive, move forward, and live your life, and more than anything else, try to deal with people with love, because when we get hurt, sometimes we react in ways that we shouldn't, and I'm guilty of that. I'm one of the main people that's guilty of that. Whenever someone hurts you, you strike out in anger, and it's not always the best choices that you make, and not always the best words that you choose, and all that you're left with afterwards is regret. But even in those moments, build character by finding a way to reach out to whoever it is that you may have hurt and ask for forgiveness. If they give it to you, great. If they don't, at least you tried. And then continue to move forward to try to be the best person that you can be. And just remember that, we're all human, we're all fallible, and there's something better for all of us out there if we're willing to be honest with ourselves about who we are, and be honest with each other about the things that we love and the things that we don't, and to not be afraid to stand up for the things that we love and the people that we love, especially when other people are hurting them, and don't walk away from people that you love, because you may not have the opportunity to see them again or to come back to them. Love people while they're in your life, and think twice before you hurt them and before you walk away, because because you're not always going to find them again.
And I believe that. So whenever I see somebody, I'm not saying names, but when I see somebody that's sad, that feel when they're quiet, when they feel quiet, or they just don't want to talk to you, they just want to be alone. They just want to get things out of their mind. But when you see that person and you look at their facial expression, it kind of tells you something's wrong. But I back my distance. We have to back our distance. You have to leave that person.
But that's a place where if you can't reach out to them and get them and approach them and start a conversation with them, you can always, in your mind say a prayer for them, Yeah. I think that we can tell whenever we see other people when people are hurting, and even if we don't know who they are, you can tell by what's going on in their eyes that somebody is in pain, and every prayer that we say for another person, especially strangers, is another prayer that's going to be said for us, and it all comes back around full circle. And we have a chance every day to make up for the mistakes that we make through the people that we meet in our daily lives. So try to always come from a place of love and try to make people feel loved as much as you can, and know that you're not always going to be understood, but the more that you try to understand others, the more that one day the world is going to make sense to you.
It's true. And one last thing is that you always put your shoes on, right? When you tie your shoes, when you put your shoes on and you comb your hair and you brush your teeth, you start a new day. So when you start a new day, it's a good day. And you have to make it a great day, because we don't like seeing you sad, we don't like seeing you depressed, but you have us. imbullyfree.org. Watch our PSA. It's a great PSA. And Crystal, tell me about your social media.
Oh yeah, www.ogac.life. www.ogac.life. That's the website to my acting school, and if you go onto that website, you can get all the information regarding our classes, information about me, information about some of our star students, how you can join, special discounts, our location, all kinds of other things. Sometimes we have agent visits, which I'm really privileged to be able to have a great relationship with several of the agents here in Houston. So if you have children who feel like being creative and they just need something, some sort of an outlet, or if acting has always been a hobby and you just want to maybe nourish that, or if you think that it's something that you want to do as a profession, go to www.ogac.life and look at our website, and my phone number is there. You can shoot me a text, or my business partner Henry Zhang. You can shoot him a text or a phone call or an email, and ask us any questions that you might have. We would love to have you. The school is growing. I have a wonderful group of people involved in the school right now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where we're all going to end up this time, or at the end of the year. So yeah.
So as a family at OGAC, our family to yours, this is what we do as an OGAC family.
Hugs. All right.
And a fist bump.
And fist bump.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Take care. Next Wednesday, schedule your slot for the 29th. imbullyfree.org. Have a good night.
Bye.